Today I want to talk about language and the various languages that an actor has available to them, that an actor needs to know and learn in order to grow better. And so after the bump, we will talk a little bit more about what languages are and how an actor can use them. Join me in a few seconds. Hello everybody, I am Doug Fahl, and this is Augmented Actor. If this is your first time here, welcome. This is a channel on YouTube for actors, and we talk about actor-related things like training and tips and advice, and sometimes just some more esoteric subjects. Like today, I'm just going to be chatty about an esoteric subject. So let's get started. What is a language? Well, the most simple definition for language is a structured system for communication. We think of languages as spoken languages, as written languages. For instance, English, Chinese, Spanish, French, Russian, German, Swahili, and so forth. It's estimated that there are about 5,000 to 7,000 different spoken languages in the world. Now, each language consists of various elements. We have the alphabet of each language. The alphabet is what the words of the language are based on, and the words are the small elements that a language is built on. Combining of words allows you to create phrases, and with phrases you can create sentences and paragraphs and stories. And those stories are what you communicate to other human beings. And acting is all about storytelling, so spoken languages are very important to an actor. Dialects and accents are variations on a specific language, and they can be formed because the language is spoken in various different regions. They use different slang, and there's different other variables that go into a dialect. I have a video on dialects and accents that you can watch if you want to learn a little bit more about that. But basically, a dialect is a different version of that language, a different genre, so to speak. Now, in order to be a performer, you really only need one verbal language. You can get by with just English or just Spanish, whatever your native tongue is. It's important for you as an actor to develop your native tongue as fully as you can. Know as many words as you can. Know how to pronounce these words. Study your language so that you can use it more fluently, so that it trips off your tongue. This will help you with cold readings and interpreting text and layering in nuance to words that are on a page. But if you, the actor, learn some other spoken languages, that can only help you out in certain circumstances. There's many shows where a character might need to speak more than one language, or they're asking you to interpret another language. Maybe one character is speaking in a certain language and you're speaking in English, so you need to be able to understand them and react to them. And also just there are often little phrases that pop up, little French phrases or Spanish phrases that pop up in text, or German or Russian or whatever. And those are easier for you to perform and get your brain around without having to phonetically spell everything out and practice. So learning new languages is definitely helpful for an actor. And it can only increase your chances of getting cast in various roles. But spoken languages are only the tip of the iceberg. Actors must develop their knowledge of other types of languages. Now, what do I mean by other types of languages? Each area of interest and each vocation has its own form of communication, its own internal language. Some examples of this are science, mathematics, design, architecture, computer programming. Let's take the language of computer programming. Now, there's many different dialects within that computer programming language. There's Pascal and Ruby and JavaScript. And each one of those is its own dialect of computer programming language. The elements in those languages are things like multiplication or addition, specific words that are used to call algorithms, and then those elements, those words, are placed into phrases, which are functions and subroutines. And then those phrases are put together to tell a story, to communicate a story to the computer, which then translates that into a game or an app. It's kind of funny to think of computer programming as it relates to acting. You could think of like an if-then routine or a loop. If someone yells at me, then I react this way. If someone tells me I'm horrible, I will get stuck in this loop of self-degradation. But aside from that, what are some of the other languages that an actor uses? An actor draws upon body language. You understand the words in a body language. The words are basically the postures and gestures that a human being experiences when they are feeling something, when they're trying to protect themselves or when they're feeling confident. These words might be things like hands on the crotch or tilting of the head or shifty eyes. So when we understand the words and phrases, the combination of these different postures in a body language, and we know what emotional states they correspond to, we can communicate a story completely through our physical being. Now, closely related to that is the language of dance. In dance, you need to have and understand the words, the steps, the movements. So basically, you need to know the difference between a pirouette and a jeté and a flap and a grapevine. Once you understand those words and the terminology associated with them, you can combine them into phrases, which are this move happens after this move, and it creates a sequence of events. And then you string those sequences of events together to create a choreographed piece. The dialects within the world of dance, the language of dance, are things like ballet, jazz, tap, modern, folk, polka. Actors understand the language of music. The words are the notes and the terminology, arpeggio, piano, all those little notations that you have in a piece of sheet music. Those are the elements. And then you string them together into phrases, melodic phrases. You had harmonies, you had chords, and then the whole piece is the story that you're trying to communicate, the song. Actors can benefit from knowing sign language. Sign language is very much like a spoken language, except it's not spoken. It's physicalized. And you learn the words, which are the little gestures, and you string them together to tell a story. It's all about communication. Language is about communication. Now, if you're a stage actor, you're going to have to understand the language of the stage. You're going to need to know the difference between the words upstage, offstage, park and bark, hit your mark, project to the back of the house. These are the elements of that language. And the more you understand the language of the stage, the better equipped you will be to walk onto a stage and perform. Likewise, if you're a film actor, you will understand the language of film and cinema. You'll know what a tight shot is and a long shot. You'll know the difference between a pan and a dolly and a tilt, what "that's a wrap" means. If you want to understand a little bit more about the language of film, I did a video on that too. And another language that actors are versed in is the language of emotion. You're using emotions to communicate a story to an audience. In a sense, emotions themselves are not a language because they're not systematic, they're not designed to communicate, but they function as a form of communication. So an actor can turn emotional understanding into its own language of communication. When you understand where your emotions come from and how you experience your emotions and how you manifest your emotions, and you can bring those understandings to your character, then you have created a language of emotion, and you can use those emotions to tell a story. There are people who are emotionally manipulative, and they have developed their own language of emotion and how to use that to get what they want. I think most actors are kind of emotionally manipulative by their very nature. You are manipulating an audience with emotion, but you're communicating ideas and thoughts as well with that emotion. Now, within the language of emotion, there are various genres or styles of emotion. There's different types of anger, different types of sadness, different types of joy. And those have their own little nuances, their own little dialects. If you'd like to have a list of all the different elements, all the different words of the emotional language, I want you to check out the video that's on your screen right now, where I show you 128 different words in the emotional language. And there's got to be a ton of other languages that actors use on a regular basis that I might not have even thought of or mentioned in this video. So if you think of something, please comment down below and let me know what it was. Breaking down different languages and different types of communication really helps you understand how it's used in a performance and can give you a little bit more of a boost. Maybe not. Hope you enjoyed this video. There's some more other videos you can watch on the screen right now. Hit that subscribe button if you like this video, and also hit that like button as well. And I hope to see you next time.